Hello, 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 good morning, my wonderful, wonderful Year Sixes, who I am missing very, very much. Before we begin our video today, I just have a couple little messages that I would like to say to you. First of all, if you are cracking on with these videos at home, which I know a lot of you are from my email inbox, big, big well done. It's such a big change having to do lots and lots of learning at home for most of us. I find it really tricky to work at home because you're just not in that mindset. So well done if you're persevering and powering through with that. Well done. But as well, it's a little bit tricky to learn off a video as well. So really, really well done, guys. If you have got, I'm sure all of you have got adults at home supporting you and helping you, even if they're just helping you find the video and the PDF and getting you started in the morning, or they're there helping you answer questions or work out what on earth I am wittering on about, please give them a big cuddle and a big thank you, because it's tricky for parents at this time as well. They've got lots of things going on as well, and spending that extra time with you is really, really beneficial. So please give them a big thank you, and don't stress too much. I know these videos for some people have been taking a little bit longer than they would do in school, which is absolutely fine. That is bound to be. When I'm in school, they're taking about most of the morning for the Year Sixes that are still coming into school. So it's taken a little bit longer than we thought. A couple of them, especially with the connected curriculum research, we're doing in the afternoon as well. So it's taken a little bit longer than I had anticipated. So I do apologise, guys. On that point, if you're finding it too much to do all at once and sit down, you guys are really smart. You know what you need to work on. Pick out the bits that you need to work on first, do them, and then think about what else could I do? Do I have time to do that? Should I go away and do a different activity and then come back to it later? You know, pick it out easy. Don't feel that you need to do all of it within the same amount of time every day and sit down and force yourself through it. You know, it's okay to have a little break here and there. Remember, at school we always had breaks, at lunch and at break time, and sometimes just randomly throughout the middle of a lesson, because we're just all getting a bit so please take it easy, be easy on yourself, be kind to yourself with this. Okay, we're all learning how it works, and this product might change as well as the week or weeks go on. If you do have any suggestions, or you are finding it really long, or you're finding something that works really well with the video, please drop me an email so I know, and I can tweak up the videos and things and make them work for you guys, because that's who it needs to work for, you guys, nobody else. So really, really well done. Thank your parents, and drop me an email if you've got any suggestions, or you're finding some elements really tricky or some elements really working well for you, and we'll tweak the videos there. But enjoy the video, and I will speak to you all tomorrow. If you've signed on for the Zoom sessions, our Zoom meeting is at 11 o'clock on Friday morning, so I'll speak to some of you then as well. Okay, guys, enjoy. Okie dokie, team. So today you have got a couple more chapters from Tom's Midnight Garden. You will be multiplying and dividing decimal numbers. We'll be reviewing parentheses. And we will be looking at cohesion within paragraph structures for that information text. Like I said on the little slide before, if, for example, you're looking at parentheses and you think, actually, I'm pretty good at parentheses, I might just go look at the video for parentheses, but you can just skip to the end where the questions are. Test yourself. If you get those all right, you didn't need to watch that input bit. That's fine. If you test yourself on questions, you get a couple wrong, go back, rewatch the video, rejog that memory, and then try again after. So think about this video smart. Think about, you know, not having to sit through every bit of me retelling you what you already know. With English as well, within the paragraph structure, if you've started your information text, which I hope lots of you have, and I've seen lots of you have, about the Stone Age, and you're thinking, actually, I'm getting on with that really well, just crack on with that, guys. Don't worry too much about looking at paragraph structures. You're all really good at that. So think, no, actually, I'm going to crack on with that and use my time more wisely. If you're looking at that bit there that says cohesion with the paragraph structure, and you think, actually, yeah, I just want to clear up a couple of things within that, please watch that video and then do the writing. Okay, so this video is designed completely for you to opt in and out of bits that will help you. So I hope you enjoy.
Hello Year 6. Hope you're enjoying Tom's Midnight Garden. The chapters you're going to read today, chapter 7 and 8, are really good, and Tom meets some new friends in the garden in chapter 8, so that's quite good. You're going to read your chapters and then answer your questions. Hope you enjoyed those chapters. It was good, wasn't it, when Tom met some of the children in the garden? Here are your questions for the chapters that you've just read, and then on the next page you'll be able to see the answers when you've tried the questions. So here are the answers to your questions today. You'll be able to see how you got on with those. And now we're going to do some maths. We're going to have a different skills practice today. We're going to practice the skill of finding percentages. If you can't remember quite how to do this, if you look back at the learning video that was made on Monday the 30th of March, there is a help sheet on there and it just talks you through a little bit how to find percentages. You don't need to worry about doing the work on that video, just have a look at the talking and the help sheet and it will help you to find your percentages. So we're starting today with 100% being 240, which you can see on the pink bit in the middle there. So 240 is 100% today, and then there's all these other percentages for you to find. So you're finding the percentages of 240. So for example, 50% of 240 you're going to halve 240 to find 50%, and so on. A nice quick way here when you want to find the 99%, quite a good way to do it. If you find 1% and then take that away from the 100%, you are left with 99%. So there's a little clue for that one there. It's a bit quicker that way. So good luck with those, and pause the video to do it. The answers are on the next page. Here are your answers then. You can see how you got on with your percentages today. Hope you got on right with that. And now we're going to go on to the main part of the lesson. So today we're going to think about multiplying and dividing decimal numbers and using some mental skills to help us do it. So not really long ones with the formal written method, but just some mental work on it really. If you have a look here, we're going to multiply the number 0.6. So in the middle of this picture here you've got 0.6. 1 times 0.6 is obviously 0.6. 2 times 0.6 is 1.2, and so on. Now if you have a look at the answers you might notice something. What's going on here is like the 6 times table, isn't it? So 1 times 6 is 6, 2 6s are 12, 3 6s are 18, 4 6s is 24. So it's very much like the 6 times table, but each answer is coming out 10 times smaller. And that's because the starting number that we've got is 10 times smaller than 6. So you use your knowledge of your 6 times table to help you do this work. Using the same idea about times tables to help us, 42 divided by 6 would be 7, wouldn't it? So 42 divided by 6 would be 7. Now this number here is 10 times smaller than 42. So your answer is going to come out 10 times smaller to match. So instead of 42 divided by 6 is 7, we'd have 4.2 divided by 6 is 0.7. You're making your answer 10 times smaller to match a question that's 10 times smaller, so 0.7. Having a look at this one, 18 divided by 6 is 3. If we make the question 10 times smaller, so 1.8 is 10 times smaller than 18, our answer is going to come out 10 times smaller to match. So 0.3 is 10 times smaller than 3, and so on. Now we're going to look at 0.48 divided by 6. So we're going to use the times table fact of 48 divided by 6 is 8. The question is now 10 times smaller because you've got 4.8. So the answer is coming out 10 times smaller to match. And we've now made the question 100 times smaller. If you look at that number, 48, this is now 100 times smaller, and so the answer is 100 times smaller to match. Here are some questions for you to practice those skills. They're quite nice questions because they've been set out in groups to help you. So you start with the times table that you know. This one's then 10 times smaller, so your answer will come out 10 times smaller to match. and 100 times smaller. So you can use the times tables that you know to help you do the work. You're going to pause the video while you try this work, and then the answers will be on the next page. So here are the answers to your work. You'll be able to see how you got on with these. Hope they went well for you. And some questions here to check your understanding. These ones will get you thinking a little bit more about how this works. Pause the video to try these, and then you can look at the answers on the next page. Here are the answers to your questions. You'll be able to see how you got on with these. When you've checked these, the next page will be some spag work with Miss Tucker. Goodbye for today. See you with some more learning tomorrow.
Okie dokie, my lovelies. Like I said at the start of the video, if you are thinking about parenthesis and you think, actually, I can do that really, really well, please skip ahead to the first set of questions on parenthesis. If you use the slide bar at the bottom of the video, you'll see when the questions pop up. Have a go at those, and if you get them all right, move on to something else. If you get one or two wrong, think, okay, then start watching this video, and then go back to the questions at the end and try again. Okay, use your time wisely. So parenthesis, I'm going to start with a simple sentence. We know that parenthesis is a type of clause that goes within sentences. So we're going to start with a simple sentence and build it up from there. So thinking about my very naughty dogs, my simple sentence is Springer Spaniels are very energetic. So my subject is Springer Spaniels. They are who I'm talking about, the whole breed as a group. And my verb is are. So let's add something into there. I want to add a little bit more detail. That simple sentence is a little bit Yawnsville. So I want to clarify what Springer said. Oh, sorry, one of them's whining. Murphy, this is not the time. I'm trying to record a video. Sorry. Springer Spaniels, I want to add a little bit more detail about what Springer Spaniels actually are. So, Springer Spaniels, a breed of gun dog, are very energetic. Do you see how my sentence still makes sense around that little clause in the middle that tells me that they are a breed of gun dog? And I've separated that clause from the main clause with a pair of commas. So my main clause is there. It still has my subject and my verb, and it makes sense by itself. And my parenthesis is that additional information that isn't necessarily needed, but it enhances my sentence. Don't forget, relative clauses that we previously looked at the start of the week are also a type of parenthesis. They are just a little bit different because they start with a relative pronoun. Okay, so let's have a look at embedding parenthesis in action. So I've got two sentences here about one of the American presidents, George Washington. George Washington was born in 1732. He was the first American president. So two simple sentences. We know, because we constantly talk about adding variety in sentence structure and variety in sentence length, that if we write everything in simple sentences, it gets very Yawnsville. So I'm going to take one sentence, chop it up a little bit, and embed it into the first one. So here we go. I've removed the two words he was, and I've embedded part of that clause into the first sentence. So now my sentence reads, George Washington was the first American president, born in 1732. So now I'm going to need to separate that clause, that part of parenthesis, from the rest of the sentence. I could use brackets, dashes, or commas to do this. I've chosen brackets, but apparently only one bracket wants to move, so I'll just add in that other one up there. Okay. I was doing so well with technology. Right. Now, because we've got the three options of brackets, dashes, and commas, we think, well, which one should I use and when? There is no 100% concrete grammatical rule for this. They are very interchangeable. However, there are kind of some suggestions and maybe a general rule, but it isn't written down in stone. So we tend to use brackets around something that is background or almost unnecessary information. For example, Venus flytraps, a type of carnivorous plant, feed on insects. So here I've used my brackets, I've used that parenthesis to define Venus flytraps, to tell me that they're a type of carnivorous plant. I don't necessarily need that information, because if I know that they feed on insects, like the rest of the sentence says, I can work out they're a carnivorous plant. So it's unnecessary. Next up, you want to use dashes when you want to either draw attention to something or for it to be a bit of an interruption in a sentence. So we tend to see a lot of brackets in books like Diary of a Wimpy Kid or journals, and it's almost like an additional thought from the author after they've read it. So we tend to use it for like little sarcastic snipes or thoughts that they think, oh, boring, or something like that. Additions about how the author or how the characters might be feeling tend to be in dashes. So here's an example. Miss Tucker, the coolest teacher, or so she thought. So obviously my author is not agreeing with that statement. So they've used that dash there to kind of emphasize that actually Miss Tucker may not be the coolest teacher. She may be a little bit of a quirky turkey, but that's okay. And then we tend to use commas when we want things to be included in the flow of the sentence. So we don't want them to be ignored, but we want to keep the rhythm of the sentence when it's being read aloud. For example, Whiskey, Miss Tucker's eldest dog, was often in trouble for exploring on his own. He does run off a lot, bless him. So we've added that into the sentence. We want to keep that rhythm. But like I said before, they're fairly interchangeable, so don't stress too much. Oh, there's the other bracket going. It's not helpful. Right then. So I know you love my videos. You have seen this one last year and it was a mega hit. There's cool dance moves that go along with it. If you would like to see this video, it won't let me play it inside the video, unfortunately, but you can go to the CBBC Super Movers page and type in Ben Shire's Key Stage 2 commas, brackets and dashes, and this funky guy will come up. Love this song, actually. It's quite fun. The dance moves are great. So if you would like to go see that now and have a little dance break, please pause your video and dance your heart out to this man in a jumper vest singing about parenthesis. Right guys, time to have a quiz on parenthesis. So pause the video when you are ready and restart it when you're ready for the answers. Okay, I'm going to whiz through the answers now. So your parts of parenthesis are there, and there. Please notice that who had grown even taller over the summer and which was for experienced speakers only. They are both relative clauses. Well done if you clock that, because we know relative clauses are a type of parenthesis. They just happen to start with a relative pronoun. Another type, I'm trying to catch you out with these relative pronouns. Well done if you spotted this relative clause as well. Remember, a good tip for these type of questions is to read around the part in brackets or whichever bit you think is parenthesis to check that the rest makes sense. So if I do that for this sentence, the Birmingham to London train was held up further by an unexpected snowfall. That makes sense by itself. Which was already running late. It's just an additional add into that sentence, giving us a bit more information that the passengers were probably really miffed off on there. So is this piece parenthesis punctuated correctly, true or false? False, because it doesn't quite make sense. The captain sipped his black coffee with no sugar. The tales of his adventures at sea. It doesn't make sense if I read around the parenthesis. It's not a complete idea, a complete sentence. So somewhere those brackets are not in the right place. So I need to think. The captain sipped his black coffee with no sugar whilst entertaining the children with tales of his adventures at sea. Which bit is not necessarily needed? How he takes his coffee black, which means no milk, with sugar, with no sugar, sorry. So we don't necessarily need that to know what's going on. So we can pop that in the parenthesis there. And please put commas around the parenthesis in this sentence below. So the sentence is, the dragon flew up into the sky, which was blue and cloudless, before swooping down to rain terror on the village below. So which bit don't we need necessarily to find out that the dragon was raining terror on the village below? That the sky was blue and cloudless. Oh, I can't speak today. I do apologise. Pause the video and have a crack at these 2 questions. Restart the video when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so we have to combine the sentences below so that they include parentheses. Be aware that we might need to lose some words, like I did when I was talking about George Washington. We lost the words he was. You might have to do that in a sentence to make it make sense. So, the plane powered down the runway as it prepared for takeoff. The plane was full of passengers and luggage. How can I embed part of one of those sentences into the other? It could look like this. There are a couple of ways. The plane, full of passengers and luggage, powered down the runway as it prepared for takeoff. So well done if you got that way. There are other ways as well. A good way to check if your answer is correct is to read around the parenthesis. Does it make sense without that parenthesis in there? If so, you've got it correct. Let's look at this sentence. The snowmobiles, each weighing over 500 pounds, slid cautiously over the dangerously thin ice sheets. Now, how do we check if parenthesis is used correct? We read around it. So, the snowmobiles, each weighing over 500 pounds, over the dangerously thin ice sheets. Did what over the dangerously thin ice sheets? They've not used it correctly there, have they? Where should the parenthesis be? It should be each weighing over 500 pounds. We don't necessarily need to know how heavy the snowmobiles are. Snowmobiles are quite big and bulky kind of things, so we can assume they're going to be quite heavy. So the sentence should be, the snowmobiles, each weighing over 500 pounds, slid cautiously over the dangerously thin ice sheets. So no, it's not quite right. This is how it should look. Well done if you got that right. Okay guys, time now for a couple statsy questions. Pause the video and review when you are ready. Okay, so the first question, we need to add brackets. It's told us what kind of punctuation we need for our parenthesis. So we definitely needed to use brackets and they needed to go there. Well done. Which sentence is punctuated correctly? Read it in your head. Remember to add a special little voice when we're doing parenthesis as a little side note voice. So the town is 10 miles, 16 kilometers away. The town is 10 miles, 16 kilometers away. The town is 10 miles, kilometers away. That doesn't make sense if I read around that parenthesis. The town is 10 miles, 16 kilometers away. Oh, pay attention to where the brackets are in regards to the full stop. Which one is correct? The top one. Pair of brackets in the sentence below. Read the sentence carefully. Think which bit don't we necessarily need. We don't necessarily need to know how tall Ben Nevis is, but it's nice to know if we like facts. Next up, which one is punctuated correctly? We read them in our head. We read around the parenthesis. Does it make sense without it? This one does. I'll be running a marathon next week. That sentence would say without the parenthesis, but instead the parenthesis is telling us how long a half marathon is. And we have to insert a pair of commas, so definitely use commas, not dashes or brackets, into this sentence. So read it out. I enjoy sitting in my bedroom even though it is quite small and listening to music. Which bit don't we need? That the bedroom is... Oh no! Miss Tucker, what have you done? I didn't read the question. I would have got that one wrong. I do apologise. It should be brackets, commas. Oh, Miss Tucker. Absolute numpty. Do apologise, everyone. Good job, you guys know what's going on. But they should be commas there instead of the brackets. I do apologise. Oh dear. Okay then, my lovelies. If you have started your writing your information text about the Stone Age, which I hope most of you have, and lots of you have by the state of my inbox, which is really nice to see, and you think, actually, I'm quite happy with it. I understand what I'm doing. I'm happy with my expanding success criteria. I know which bits I need to add, and I just need more time to write it. Please write it now. Don't worry about the rest of this bit of video about English, crack on with that. Today we're going to be talking about structures within our writing that aid cohesion, so help our writing to flow. If you think you would like to work on that a little bit more to help your writing, then listen to this video, then crack on with your writing. But if you're comfortable with what you're doing and you're happy in your mid-flow, crack on with that. I have no problem with that at all. So far we've looked at these kind of things, and we've just looked at parenthesis, and now we're going to look at those cohesive links to previous paragraphs and cohesive links within our writing itself. So we can use lots of different techniques to help us create cohesion within our writing. We can use fronted adverbials, for example, consequently or during this period. Consequently is linking to the sentence before, explaining what the consequence of that sentence is. Or during this period is then referring to the sentence or paragraph before, because it's telling me that actually during this time that I just talked about, this is going on as well. So it's creating that idea that we're constantly referring back to something that we've previously said, creating that flow, linking our paragraphs together, which is quite a technical thing to do. We use pronouns to enhance cohesion. So instead of constantly saying, Miss Tucker went to the shops, Miss Tucker bought an ice cream, Miss Tucker enjoyed her ice cream, Miss Tucker then walked home, Miss Tucker then, it's boring, isn't it? So we're going to replace it with he, she, it, they. So Miss Tucker walked to the shop, she bought an ice cream, then she did this, blah, blah, blah. So instead of repeating my name, those nouns, we're going to use pronouns to replace those nouns. And using conjunctions. So we know that coordinating conjunctions in compound sentences are our fanboys conjunctions. So we can use those to link two main clauses together, or we can use our subordinating conjunctions, which is a whole big list of, to link together a main clause and an extra idea, a subordinate clause that links to that idea. But you're pretty good at those, you know how conjunctions work. And the last thing you can think about is your paragraph structure, and that's what we're really going to be honing in on today. So I've created this little traffic light system for you to have a think about with your paragraph structure. So it goes through introducing the main idea of your paragraph. What's it going to be about? Can you link that to the paragraph before? Then we're going to support it or explain that point a little bit more. And then we're going to end it. So link back to the main idea. So it's a bit like a sandwich or a traffic light. So introduce, explain, summarize. Here's an idea. So unlike the Paleolithic diet, the Neolithic diet consisted of a large number of grown fruits and vegetables. So here I have got my fronted adverbial. This links to the paragraph above. Obviously in the paragraph above or previously in the text, I've been talking about the Paleolithic diet. So unlike that, I'm comparing it to that. I'm now going to talk about my main point. This in green, I should have done a different color, well, is my main point. That the Neolithic diet consisted of a large number of grown fruits and vegetables. So if I look at my traffic light system, I know what my paragraph is going to be about. It's going to be about the Neolithic diet. And I have used a fronted adverbial or a conjunction to link to the paragraph above. First sentence, done. Next sentence, I'm going to explain or support my idea. So Neolithic humans realized that animals were easier and less energy consuming to kill and eat if they were kept in pens. In addition to this energy saving idea, they also planted crops such as wheat and fruit trees. Having food in one area meant that humans no longer had to roam and forage for food. They created small villages of multiple homes built together in close proximity to their food, supplies, and farms. So now I've given some extra information. I might be describing something that I've explained in my first sentence, but here I'm giving some extra information. So how come their diet was so different? So I have also used in here, if I find an orange, here is my subordinating conjunction. adding these two. Here is a fronted adverbial that links to the paragraph above. We've got a bit of parenthesis here, such as wheat and fruit trees. I've got a complex sentence here, having food in one area. This is the subordinate clause of this main bit. I've used a semicolon, and somewhere in there I've definitely got a hyphen. Oh, I've missed it. There it is up there. So, and all the way through, I've been trying to use fancy words like proximity and energy consuming. So this sentence has got a lot in it technically, but it's also explaining the sentence before. How come their diet was different? How come they could grow fruits and vegetables? Okay. What else do we know about this? So we know that at this point, Neolithic humans started to farm and to settle down in one area. So I've been able to add this in. I've used conjunctions to link my ideas together. We should be seeing because in here, or words like consequently or subsequently or because of this in this paragraph, in this section, sorry, of the paragraph, because it is explaining the main point above. And then we need to end our paragraph with a sentence. So here I am linking back the Neolithic diet, the Neolithic diet. Do you see how I've linked back to this front? I've linked back to my main idea to conclude my paragraph. So the Neolithic diet was much more varied than in previous Stone Age diets. It provided humans with much needed vitamins and minerals that helped their brains develop and become more sophisticated. So I'm just summarising everything that I've said before. I'm adding that extra bit of detail that it's helped their brains, but as a whole, I'm just summarising that main paragraph. It's quite tricky to think about this as a whole, but if you think about introduce, explain, summarise, that works quite well when structuring paragraphs. You just need to be thinking about linking to the previous sentences and the previous paragraphs. So this links to the previous paragraph. This bit here links to the previous sentence, and this bit links to the start of the sentence and rounds it off. So everything is linked to the bit before. That creates cohesion, that creates flow within our writing, that creates that year 6 level and beyond. This will really help you in your writing when you go up to high school as well and you start writing more sophisticated essays in English and in history and geography and subjects where you have to explain things. This structure comes really, really in handy. So have a look at this paragraph, pause the video when you're ready. Would you change or edit anything to improve it? Grab your PDF, have that open. If you can split screen so you can see the both, or just think, does it introduce, explain, then summarise in that structure? If not, how would you wiggle the sentences round to make it even more cohesive? Pause the video when you're ready and restart it, and I will show you the possible answer. Oh no, I've given away that it definitely moves. Okay, well, it definitely wiggles round. But pause the video, have a think. How would you restructure it to make it any better? Play the video and I will show you the optimum. Oh, so bad at this video at learning, aren't we? I'm so sorry. And I will show you the perfect structure when you are done. So I'm going to show you the ideal structure now for the sentence. The first layer of the rainforest is called the emergent layer. This sentence straight away tells me what we're talking about. It's introducing that idea. Although it doesn't have a fronted adverbial to link it to the sentence above, maybe that's not relevant right now, but it's introducing my main idea. My next sentence says trees grow up to approximately 200 foot. However, this can vary with a missing comma of however. My apologies. Most of the tree's leaves are found in the emergent layer as they are able to catch plenty of sunlight. Unfortunately, that links to that, and this sentence here is linking to what we're talking about. So I'm explaining that. Unfortunately, it can be very windy, even stormy at times. This means linking to the sentence before. I'm explaining what that means. I'm adding some extra detail. The trees have to be extremely strong to survive the weather. Surprisingly, there are many animals in this layer. In the treetops, you will find a variety of different birds, insects, and mammals. As a result, linking back to here, The emergent layer, look at that, linking to the start of the set paragraph, is very exciting and is a very exciting and vibrant place despite being so high and exposed. If I was going to summarize this paragraph, I could use that last sentence. The emergent layer is very exciting and a vibrant place despite being so high and exposed. It's told me that it's high and exposed and it can be windy, and it's told me that there's lots of birds and insects in there because it's vibrant. And it's told me that it's high because it's 200 feet. Do you see how that sentence summarizes the whole ideas? This paragraph is quite nice. All of the additions and the frontier verbials you could actually magpie and use in your writing. So things like as a result, or surprisingly, or this means that unfortunately. These can all be magpied if you like, or this structure can be magpied as well. The whole structure can be magpied if you're struggling to write some paragraphs cohesively about the Stone Age. So please feel free to use this as a base and to rework it to make it about what you need it to be about. So what I'd like you to do now is to complete your paragraphs about the different Stone Age dyads. Take time to think about the structure of the new paragraphs. If you've done that and you're still feeling enthused to keep writing, take time to read the paragraphs that you've previously written and check that they are cohesive and as perfect as they can be. If by the time you've finished writing your paragraphs today and you think, actually, I'm brain dead, I'm ready for a little break, I need a rest, I need to go and move, I need to do something, don't worry about going and looking at what you've done previously. Make sure what you've written today is really, really good, and we'll look at that tomorrow, okay? Don't put too much pressure on yourselves, guys, okay? And please don't feel like I'm putting pressure on you. I really don't want to do that. So take time, look at your expanding success criteria. What have you included? Take bits off in your book. So if you've already written a rhetorical question, say, yeah, I've used that a couple of times. If you've used lots of fronted adverbials and formal language and you've been using semicolons a few times, tick those off. If you can say, yes, I've used lots of technical language, tick them off and think, right, what do I need to include? Oh, okay, right, today I need to really focus on my cohesive links. I need to focus on my parenthesis, and I'm going to use some more fronted adverbials. So think, use it as you would in class. You can write on it. You don't have to leave it pristine. Use it to tick off, okay? Look at these examples around the edge. Can you magpie any? You can steal them and put them in. As long as you don't copy the whole essay, you can magpie little phrases and clauses and add them into your own writing. Don't feel like you're having to write everything and reinvent the wheel. Do you like we do in class? Magpie bits, say, oh, that was really good. I'm going to steal that, because that's what authors do. They see things and think, wow, I'm inspired by that. I'm going to use that and rework it to make it my own. So take your time now, guys. Crack on with that. And I can't wait. I really, really cannot wait to see these finished pieces of work. Well done. Okay, so connected curriculum. It is now time to research your final 3 paragraphs. These can be about any aspect of the Stone Age that you are interested in. So it doesn't have to be what I'm going to tell you about. So previously I've said, right, you need to find out about homes, you need to find out about diets. Now I'm going to say, find out about what you want. There are some example headings below, or in your PDF, sorry, but you don't have to research those. You can talk about other bits if you find them more interesting. Another thing to think about is if you want to include a did you know box, you might want to just a standalone fact. So it doesn't need explaining, just a fact that you found really interesting that you'd like to include. And that is it for today, my lovelies. So, like I said previously in other videos, don't stress about doing your connected curriculum menu if you're not finding time at the moment. That's okay, because you're doing lots of research for your English anyway that links to our connected curriculum. There's websites there if you'd like to go on them. Please can I draw attention to our Padlet. If you'd like to go onto our Padlet and just give a little shout out, it doesn't have to be about any kind of learning or any academic work. It can just be a little hello. Please feel free to go on there. There is a couple of comments already, so have a little look. You can reply to those. You can say hello. You don't need a user log on for that. You can just go on and write on it. Please can I remind you that no photos of faces or videos of faces, please. And just sign off with your first name, no surnames. We'll keep it all anonymous to other people that aren't in our class. Well done. Very, very proud of you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow at our Zoom time of 11 a.m. See you later, guys. Bye.